Hello. In this third video on Caribbean slave revolts, I will continue the story of the Haitian Revolution by briefly describing the career of Toussaint L'Ouverture, the man who laid the basis for the creation of modern Haiti. François Dominique Toussaint, who adopted the name L'Ouverture, the opening, was a former slave who came to lead one of the marauding bands in the north of the island after the insurrection of 1791. He was then about 48 years old. With the outbreak of France's war with Spain, Toussaint joined the Spanish forces, quickly building up a force of well-trained black troops loyal to him. He proved himself to be both a military and political leader of great skill. When he learned of France's unambiguous rejection of slavery, he switched sides in May 1794, simultaneously undermining the Spanish forces and greatly strengthening the French. By the early months of 1794, he already controlled most of the north of the colony and gained the support of other fighting groups. The most immediate military task was to rid the island of the British troops who had first arrived in September 1793 with the support of the local white French planters in the south, who preferred to live in a reconstituted slave economy under British rule than under a French republic. The hopes of a British conquest to restore order and establish their own power were thwarted both by the success of Toussaint's troops, who were hardy, disciplined, and adept at guerrilla warfare, and the devastating impact of disease, particularly yellow fever, which decimated troops newly arrived from Europe. The British were also distracted by events in other parts of the Caribbean, including a rebellion by slaves and mulattoes on the island Grenada in 1795, and the Second Maroon War in 1795-96 in Jamaica, which prevented them from deploying troop reinforcements. Eventually, having suffered massive losses of men, perhaps 13,000 out of a total of 20,000, mostly from disease, the British agreed to peace terms offered by Toussaint and evacuated the island in 1798. Meanwhile, Spain had accepted that it was losing the war in Europe, and in 1795 withdrew from the struggle, legally ceding its part of Hispaniola to the French as part of an overall settlement. French Republican leaders on the island recognized Toussaint's dominant military role and successively appointed him lieutenant governor in 1796 and commander-in-chief in 1797. Toussaint increasingly acted as if he was the independent governor of the territory, however, arranging for the white Republican leaders to leave so as to remove potential rivals. And when he negotiated the British withdrawal in May 1798, it was as de facto ruler, both the British and Americans recognizing him as such, when they concluded a secret treaty with Toussaint in June 1799, offering him support in exchange for his agreeing not to invade any British or American territory or support slave rebellions elsewhere, and also, very significantly, opening up trade relations. With British and American backing, Toussaint also disposed of his last remaining challenger in the colony, the mulatto leader André Rigaud, who was in control of the southwest, this in the bloody War of the Knives of 1799-1800. Then, in January 1801, Toussaint seized the Spanish part of the island, bringing the whole island of Hispaniola under a single authority, and in July 1801 promulgated his own constitution. The period of Toussaint's rule was brief, but indicative of his intentions for the political and socio-economic future of the island. First, he established peace. The bloodshed, including massacres carried out by some of his own lieutenants, such as General Dessalines, was ended. Secondly, whilst he claimed to remain loyal to France, at the very least Saint-Domingue was to be an autonomous territory under his rule, and with its own laws and government under only nominal French authority. Thus Toussaint was to be governor for life, with power to nominate his successor, and the local military was to play a role in government. Thirdly, while slavery was permanently abolished and all people declared free, a system of what was essentially forced corvée labour, reminiscent of feudalism, was to be instituted in order to promote economic recovery after years of destructive warfare. All adult males were required to serve their country, either in the militia or in productive labour. Plantation agriculture was also to be supported, and white planters encouraged to return to the island to superintend the workers. This dream quickly ended in 1802, when Napoleon sent troops to retake the island, the subject of the next video.